Good morning, everybody. I'm Sheriff Wayne Ivory, the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. I'm standing here with our EOC Director, John Scott. John and his team are very active at this moment. John, I'm going to start out by saying I like big storms and I cannot lie. I know you don't though. So we're going to try and give you a little update. We've had some changes in the storm. John's going to give us a little brief on that, and then we'll talk about some of the closures that are happening, sandbag locations, things like that are going on. So, John, let's start out with the storm. A little bit of change in it.
A little bit of change, and good morning, Brevard. We've been talking all along, tropical storm, strong tropical storm, Category 1. We're still right in that range, but we are seeing stuff on the higher end of that. So it's definitely tropical storm for us. Try that again. Definitely strong tropical storm force winds for us. Small hurricane winds, so we're talking 74 to 85 in that range, and then gusts above it. And the big change is a little more rain. So we've been talking about 6 to 8 inches. Now we're pretty sure we're going to be on that 8-inch area. Pockets of maybe 10 to 12 for those areas that see those multiple rounds of the heavy storms. Now, as you can see with the track, Sheriff, what we're really talking about here isn't much change from where we started a couple of days. We're just narrowing down and getting higher confidence that storm is going to probably exit through Brevard, unfortunately. But like we talked about yesterday, Cat 4 now, Cat 3 at landfall. Not going to be a Cat 3 for us, right? Talking about, serious threat, but not an extreme threat. So we always want to use that measured response as we go through these kinds of things.
Yeah, and to John's point, the way we avoid letting this be a very serious threat to us is by being prepared, having all of our stuff done. We got a little bit of extra time because our timetable has changed a little bit now. But as John said, this storm, as you look at it, it's a major storm. There's no doubt about that. But as it makes landfall, it is going to deteriorate and flatten out a little bit, and that's going to take a lot of the energy away from it. So what they're looking at on the West Coast, our prayers are with them. Absolutely. What they're looking at on the West Coast is a Cat 4 possibly making landfall. By the time it gets to us, it'll be a Cat 1. So those winds we're talking about, we talked about this yesterday. Those winds will be in that tropical storm force winds, hurricane, at some time.
Yeah, so we're talking in that 70 to 80, maybe 85 mile an hour range. And again, like we talked about, we're concerned about our folks who live in mobile manufactured homes, campers, because they're more vulnerable to wind. But beyond that, folks should expect to see some damage, some light damage to some, fences, and we're definitely going to have vegetative debris, the stuff that's just more vulnerable to that wind. Right. But for the most part, when we talk about being in a good position to handle those kinds of things, we are.
All right. So timeline, here's where it's changed a little bit. We originally thought this storm might get to us early Wednesday was one of the projections. Now, as you're seeing on the screen behind us, you're seeing that the storm has slowed down, and we'll start feeling some of the effects probably around 1 a.m. Thursday morning. Now,
so that'll be when we see the highest parts there.
Okay.
And that's an important part, right? We'll start to deteriorate throughout the day on Wednesday, start to see those winds come in maybe late Wednesday afternoon. But the peak part, the part we're most concerned about, your point is perfect, which is really in that overnight hours, those winds are really going to pick up. So the wind we were just talking about, that high wind, right in that midnight to after part on Thursday.
Okay. So, John, you and I were talking earlier, and you were talking something really interesting about a front that's out here that could keep this storm on us a little bit longer.
Yeah. So as Milton moves off, we're watching for a little bit of front out here. You've got another storm that's moving over this way. And so that may sort of keep Milton while offshore for us, keep a little bit of those winds a little stronger. So if you're used to traditional tropical storms where it's all exiting pretty quick and that sort of the back end is lighter, what that means for us is that back end may be a little heavier. So that those stronger wind gusts will stay a little bit longer. Doesn't change the scope of what we're talking about, just a small adjustment from what you may be used to. That kind of, okay, well, the storm's out, like, give it a minute to really get out, and then we'll be okay.
So basically for us here, what we want you to do is use this extra time we have to be prepared, again, helping your neighbors if they need help, making sure you've got your medications, making sure you've got all of your lawn furniture, all of your yard debris. If you've gone out and trimmed limbs and stuff, try and get that where it's not going to be flying around and causing problems for us. Let's talk about some closures. Brevard Public Schools have activated early release starting today. They're going to be closed on Wednesday and Thursday without question, and they're going to meet later today and evaluate about Friday. Eastern Florida State College is closed Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then of course, they're always closed on Friday. The landfill is normal operation today. They're going to be closed tomorrow and then evaluate from there is, I guess, the plan.
Yeah, they're gonna try to make it till noon tomorrow, then they'll get through all the way Thursday, and then we'll see what impacts are and evaluate. So, yeah.
Courthouse, still, I just had a chance to talk with our chief judge, and they're still going to be closed starting at noon today. So in just a little bit, they'll be closed Tuesday, or today at noon through Thursday, and then they're going to evaluate Friday as well. Brevard government offices, we're looking at closing them.
We are gonna be closed, government-wise tomorrow and Thursday. So Wednesday, Thursday, and then evaluate where we go forward from there.
All right. Sandbag locations, we're still active on our 4 sandbag locations. Chain of Lakes up in the north end, Mitchell Ellington on Merritt Island for the beaches and Merritt Island, Wickham Park, and then also Eastern Florida State College Palm Bay campus. So those 4 sites are still active. The wait time is about 3 hours from what I'm being told. And I would just like to share with everybody, these inmates are out there working themselves as hard as they possibly can. They're not getting any breaks. They're going through this. They volunteered to come out and do this. They're working as hard as they can. So please be patient with them. When you get in line, it's going to be a constant line. So make sure you have water, beverages, snacks, whatever it is. If you have the kids in the car with you, I saw a little bit of that yesterday. Make sure you've got something to keep them entertained because it is going to be a wait, but our team is working as hard as they can. Sandbag locations, the distribution will stop today at 6 o'clock. And then we won't be active tomorrow as we start preparing for other parts of this storm. So, John, I think let's talk a little bit more about the manufactured and lower lying areas, what you want them to do.
Yeah, so we talk about our flood prone areas, our mobile manufactured homes, our campers, our folks that are power dependent, right? These are the folks who are most vulnerable to higher winds and a higher amount of rain. So in preparation for that, right? So we're not going to do a traditional evacuation because we don't have a large storm surge threat to our barrier islands and those things. We're really going to hone in on these group of folks in our community. And so we're gonna open shelters tomorrow at 9 a.m. Right now, we're staging those locations, so we're going to announce locations later today. There's still going to be plenty of time for people to get there tomorrow, get safe, get where they need to be. We're finishing up the locations. We're making sure we've got all of our equipment there, our staff's ready to go, so that when we open first thing tomorrow at 9 a.m., we'll be able to receive those. There will be shelters spread throughout the county, so people should have access to it. Again, we're looking really primarily at our groups of folks who live in mobile and manufactured homes, who are in flood-prone areas, who are maybe power dependent because we expect some power outages. And then anyone who doesn't feel safe is, of course, welcome to come to a shelter. All of those shelters that we're going to be opening are going to be pet friendly, and then we'll have some special medical needs shelters, which when we announce those locations, we'll announce how to do those kinds of things. People can always check with 211 if they have questions on those. We're obviously going to get it on your social media feeds, on our social media feeds, on your website, on our website, press release. We'll share it with our friends in the media. So it should be a wide announcement, certainly not going to be a secret. We'll make sure people knows where it is. What I would ask is when we announce locations later today, again, we're going to have setup continuing throughout the day. So don't call those centers and make sure they're going to be open. Don't try to go out and reserve a spot. That's not a thing. We'll do that tomorrow. We don't want to inundate those locations while they're trying to make final preparations to offer services for our residents.
So let's talk about causeways, because that's always a big topic of conversation. In Brevard County, we do not close our causeways at any time prior to the storm or during the storm. If somebody needs to get out of there and they choose to do that, those causeways will be open. The causeways will temporarily close immediately following the storm. When John gives us the indication that our teams can go out and check the stability of the bridges, look to see if there's any structure damage, we'll send our team out and they'll go start looking at that. We're going to hold those bridges temporarily. And the reason we're holding those bridges is we want to give our beachside departments and agencies an opportunity to look for down power lines, any type of septic problems they might have, anything that could be dangerous for people to start coming back to that side. So we'll hold the bridges temporarily. Last time, I think we set a record. We had the bridges back open in about 20, 25 minutes. Once we get the all clear thumbs up from our beachside communities, then we'll open the bridge and you'll be able to get back across. What I would ask for you is to be patient. We're going to get them open as quickly as possible, rather than coming out and forming a line and putting traffic out on US 1 and everything. Just sit tight. We will come on here and we'll let you know that we've opened those bridges. That way you're not sitting there in line. I know you're anxious to get back. If you've left your home, I know you're anxious to get back, but just give us a little bit of time to do that. and it'll flow very smoothly. And then the last thing, again, we're not doing any mandatory evacuations. Don't have any intention of doing that, and there won't be a curfew. Excuse me. The reason we don't do a curfew is our citizens work with us each and every day. They are our partners. They when we ask them to sit tight, they do so. And we've always operated that way, and we'll always continue to operate that way. So, John, anything to close out with?
Yeah, so I think really to put a sort of a big wrap on where we're trying to go is this is definitely a serious threat, and we should all take it very seriously. I think we've been encouraged by the response we've seen from the public, taking those preparations. We want to continue to do that, right? Today's the last day to do the big stuff. Tomorrow's our tighten up day. So we want to take this serious, but also keep in mind it's not an extreme event we're looking at, right? So we always are really good about right resource for the right threat we're facing. Try to be very targeted. That's where we are. And I think your point is always the big one, right? Which is we pull together not just as a response community, but as a full community with our residents. If we do that, if we're prepared, we're going to be just fine.
Yeah. And that's the thing. This storm's going to impact us. We've talked about the impacts. Just sit tight, and everybody's going to be safe. Keep those on the West Coast in your thoughts and prayers, because they're facing tremendous impact there. So, John, I appreciate it as always, my brother. Great job. We'll see you. We'll give you an update a little bit later.